Hey guys, it's Brian and Dana, Swede, Polak. Here we are. Still down here in New Orleans. Gonna go out and have some more fun today. Go cruise around and see some other stuff. And then tomorrow's Halloween. So getting to go to Halloween, a little celebration down in the French Quarter tomorrow is going to be awesome. So we've noticed in posting our stuff that a lot of people have said how much they appreciated it, and that Dana was talking or reading somebody's post that they really liked the idea of it, and they never wanted to go here before, but now they did. And I think that goes for any place that you want to go. If you want to be able to go there, you should try to find a way to do it. And like if you're like us, you work on a budget. You know, we don't have a truckload of money to just throw at for limousines and taxis and things like that. And so we're firm believers in, and even more so, make your own fun and make your own way. So especially if you want to see America, see some of the stuff that you've read about or watched us do. And I think it's totally doable. So, you know, I think we were just going to do a quick video this morning on if you're running on a budget and you still want to be able to do these things, and you don't mind putting some miles on your windshield, then it can be done. So I think the first thing is point at her, having a good partner, somebody that you can travel with. Hopefully that's your spouse because you're married. So giving each other your space, I think, is important sometimes. Dana and I get along pretty well together and can cohabitate in small closed spaces and whatnot, and it can be trying sometimes, especially if somebody like me is running my mouth and and talking and looking and doing my neck break, you know, looking all over the place, and she can be kind of quiet sometimes. And so allowing your partner to have some space of their own is nice. Last night I was doing some laundry. Dana sat in the hot tub, and I went out and saw her for a little bit, but gave her space. Not that she asked for it, but you know, sometimes it's just nice to give each other a little bit of space, even in a confined area. Let her read her book. She lets me read my book or do whatever. That way, when you do go out to do something together, you can have fun. As far as and this is Dana's help. She drinks wine. She's drank like 37 of these since we left. It's disgusting. There's these little plastic wine bottles all over the place. So one of the other things is the green. How do you get there and how do you do it? So just so you know, just to get down here so far, not the hotels, but just for gas and for food, it cost us about $400 just to get down here. So double that for a round trip. Driving back and forth, but that's also, we're not going home the same way we got down here. We're actually making a loop and headed east a little further, and then headed north through Memphis and Mississippi and I think Kansas City and whatnot. So we're actually going to be about 6,000 miles. Our budget that we figured out is going to be about $850 in just gas and travel food. Now the travel food is easy because bring your own food. One of the things that Dana and I did is, and you can find your ways around these little things, bring a cooler for food. We have what we call our road lunch right behind Dana's seat, or the driver's seat, not just Dana's seat. I drove, thank you very much, exactly half the amount of time of driving. Some people were giving me a hard time that I wasn't driving. Well, I did. But you don't want to see a video from me while I'm driving. Otherwise, it'll be a short video, and then afterwards will be our obituaries and when the funerals are. So having a cooler right behind the driver's seat, making everything accessible for the passenger, so that the passenger, whoever's over there, what I'll do is, like for breakfast and lunch, I'll reach behind the seat, pull out the cutting board, lay the cutting board on my lap, and then we have dried food that we buy at like Costco or Kroger's if you're down here, or Safeway, wherever you shop. Lots of dried fruit. Dana and I try to be a little conscientious about what we eat. So we have organic stuff that doesn't have added sugars and things like that. So a lot of dried fruit, avocados, bananas, things like that. And then in the cooler, we have bags of vegetables, cucumbers, stuff that obviously has to stay cold. Hard-boiled eggs is always a good one.
Chicken.
The bags of grilled chicken. And then how do you keep that cold for a 4-day road trip just to get to one place? Well, we use ice packs down in the bottom, and then Dana will use the little, hang on, I'll grab it. Dana uses these. You can buy these at like Safeway, Walmart, whatever, for the cooling bags. And so what we do is, in our travels, we start off and we put ice in it. and obviously ice melts. But guess what hotels have in the hallway? Ice machines. So if you start running low, put ice from the ice machine in these bags. And then we have ice that's in these bags, and then you let it form fit to the bottom of the cooler. And then every time you get to a hotel, you grab your cooler out, bring it into the room.
It doesn't get your stuff wet.
Yeah, and I griped about this before. I said, well, just put it in regular ice bags. Well, ice bags leak, and if any of you have ever had a wet sandwich while you're out hunting with your father, you'll never not use one of these. So we keep ice in this, and then once we get to the hotel, if the fridge has some hotels have just a little bitty fridge, but the little pocket freezer, keep the bags small enough to go into the pocket freezer. And if not, dump the ice down the sink, and before you guys get back on the road again, put ice in here, and then you can take your stuff out of the fridge, put it back in your cooler, and then you always have cold food. And again, then we use, on the sides, on the edges, we just use the little freezer ice packs. So that keeps your cold food cold, and we've noticed with the little cooler that we've had keeps it cold for however long that you're driving.
Well, 13 hours was our first trip.
Yep, and so at least 13 hours was our longest day. Now, in the point of driving, if you're a guy like me and you know, man, I can drive the whole thing. Yes, you can, and I believe in you because I used to do it. When we would go down to Gold Beach for onto your West War, we would leave Okanagan and travel down there, and it's 15 and a half hours for us to do that, and we'd do it, and I'd do it. I'd drive the whole thing. Dana talked me into, on this road trip, switching out. And so it seems short, but it's not. We switch out every 4 hours. So on a 13-hour day, a 13-hour drive is a good drive. You can get between 800 and 900 miles in a day, excuse me, on a 13-hour day. So guys or girls, if you're that tough chick, don't feel like you have to drive it, because if you switch out every 4 hours, which is what we've been doing, so I usually start off in the morning, and because I'm a morning guy, she's not a morning gal, and so I'll drive the first 4 hours, and then at that 4 hours, in 4 hours, somebody has to, after drinking coffee or your breakfast, somebody's got to go to the bathroom, or your vehicle needs gas. If you're in the gas guzzler like our Jeep, you need gas every 4 hours. So what you do at that point in time, man, switch out the driver, and then let the other driver do 4 hours. In that time, you can lay back, relax, pick your feet up, take your shoes off. That's my favorite thing to do, is take my shoes off and just relax a little bit. And at the end of their 4 hours, you usually have about 5 hours left, and then split that last whatever distance you have into twos. And so I'll do 4 hours, Dana'd do 4 hours, and then we'd switch back again. I'd do 2.5, she'd do 2.5, and you're there. And so each person gets their drive time in. Everybody has an equal share of that windshield time and dealing with traffic and everything, but you're not whip tired. Dana and I, every time we went someplace, again, each drive day was about 12 to 13 hours. And by the time we got there, I was not so ghastly tired that I was like ready for bed. We'd go out to dinner, and we'd go cruise around and see the local area. Obviously a lot more to see here in New Orleans, because this was kind of our end game to get here. But even in the small places that we stop, there's cool little places to stop and see. But if you're whip tired, one person's going to be sitting up and you're going to be sleeping if you decided to drive the whole way. So that was a really important one, to switch out and drive. And then again, watch your budget when you go into these truck stops, especially if you're like me, that's like an immediate gratification person. Oh, look, jerky. Oh, look this. Oh, look that. Keep in mind that you spent your hard-earned money to fill that cooler and to fill that dry box, what we call a dry box, which is where just all our dry food and paper plates and little coffee singles and things like that. You spent your money on those, so use them. And that's why they're there for, so that by the time you get here, you didn't spend all your money on eating roadside food. Your guts aren't torn up, and you didn't spend half your trip down in New Orleans in the bathroom. And then you have more money to be able to go out and do things. And then along the same lines, one of the last part of our little video here today is, we picked a meal a day. Yesterday we got kind of 2 meals because we were in New Orleans, and we'd saved a lot of money on the way down here just by eating the stuff that we brought. But we went to Cafe Beignet and had coffee and beignets. Duh, it's New Orleans. Who doesn't do that? So make sure that when you're there, plan for a good meal a day. That way, if you stop and think about it, you could spend easily and again, this is for people that are on a budget. If you've got an endless supply of money, awesome. Please contact me. I'd love to travel with you. So, plan for a good meal out. That way you can experience the local cuisine or the local nightlife or have some drinks and be able to do that. But even here at the hotel this morning, we had some avocados and some hard-boiled eggs, some cucumbers, some dried fruit. And that literally saved us about $35 or $40 because that would have been what we'd have paid for breakfast. So if you take about $20 a plate in a good expensive place where you like food, you got $20 per person per breakfast or per meal 3 times a day. There's $120 a day you're spending on just food. And I like food, don't get me wrong. It's delicious and all these kind of things that you do want to taste, but I don't want to have to taste that at a $120 slap in the face every day, especially when you're in a place for 4 days. The next thing you know, you're $500 or $600 into just food. I'd rather be $50, $60 into food per day, or $40 or $50 per day for us to go out to a really cool meal and then take the rest of that money and buy some cool roadside gifts, buy a new hat, buy my old lady some clothes, something like that. And so again, conscientious about your money spending. Pack food. It takes a little bit more effort, but totally worth it in the long run. So, travel partner, switching off during driving, travel food, and watching when you eat out and pick where you're going to eat out. It makes it a little more strategic because you go, you know what? This is our meal out for the day before we go off and do other things and have fun, go to the zoo, go to the aquarium, go to the Lafayette Cemetery, things like that. Pick what you're going to do and stick to it. Because then you'll really be pissed off at yourself when you take your money and you spend it on all that food and then you don't eat any of it because you ate out the whole time. Then you're tripling your food costs. So other than that, we'll post more videos later on. For the first time ever, like and subscribe below because we started our own little YouTube channel here, and I think this will be an easier way to upload, and people can just click on the link and we'll share it to Facebook and all those other places. So thanks for watching. This is the Polak. That's the Swede, aka Brian and Dana, and we'll see you next time. Adios.